All right, beautiful. And we are live. I'm gonna make sure we're also starting on YouTube, and we are, so we're live on YouTube as well. And so I'm excited. So welcome everybody. What's the date? October 20th. So this is like our fifth Forex Moms, fourth or fifth Forex Moms episode, I think. One of those.
Like fourth, yeah.
Right. It's one of those, right? And today I asked Sydney what she wanted to talk about. And actually, no, we had a mindset matters. We had a mindset matters, and we were talking about you asked us a question that I thought was a really good question. You asked, is trading peaceful? Does it bring you peace? That's
Yeah.
what you asked. Hey, Mr. Anthony. And I just thought that was a really good question to tap into. One of the reasons why I thought it was a good question to tap into is because let's just use TradingView for an example. Have you ever looked at the public chats and just
I
thought,
have, but like just for like kicks and giggles, like
right, like you look at it for like 2 seconds, right? And then when you look at it, you realize it's a bunch of chaos that's in those chats. It's just people talking about charts, what they see, and it could be like an all day event, an all day fiasco sometimes, right? And sometimes it saddens me because you get some crazy people in there and then it becomes like an all out war whenever I see it. And so I don't even bother to really read into it and to really look at it, right? Um, but I just thought when you asked us that question, does trading bring you peace? I thought, wow, are we making our money peacefully or are we making our money in chaos? And I wanted to talk about it. So let me ask you this question. Why do you think talking about mental health could be very important on in the trading community?
because especially because of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
can kind of put yourself in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very dangerous place to be in, but especially in what we do, because you do have people who have like taken their own life because of they're not satisfied with their results and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think it's very important to get comfortable with expressing how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, like just in every aspect, to kind of help with that mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like exercising. The more you are able to speak about it, the more it becomes natural to you, and the more it becomes natural to you, the less likely you are to take these, just big measures.
Do you think that a lot of people's mental health in the trading community is wrapped around money?
Oh, for sure, because
Mm-hmm.
especially with what we do, it is about the money, but
Mm-hmm.
it's only on surface level. Once you dig deeper, it's really about you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you this. How do you view your mental health? Like outside of trading or even in trading, what does it look like for you to be okay? Like, how do you know when you're okay and when you're not okay?
So I've actually been well, both me and my husband were entrepreneurs, so it,
Mm-hmm.
it it can get hard, but I've realized that it gets harder when I don't stick to my routine.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I don't feel like doing something, I know I made it a part of my routine because it's something that I have to do, and it'll make me feel good in the long run. Like we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about instant versus delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I don't stick to my routine, when I'm not saying my affirmations, when I'm not moving my body, when I'm not eating the proper foods,
Yeah.
I don't feel good.
Okay. What's okay? Let me ask you this question. I kind of know the answer from maybe a lot of traders, but what's the first thing you do in the morning? I'm asking this because most people, when they wake up, grab their phones, especially if it's close.
See, that used to like if you would ask me last week, that would have been me. But
Yeah.
ever since you had that call on Sunday and you said you took your trading view off your phone
Yep.
because of Amira,
Mm-hmm. Ajane. Ajane.
Ajane,
Yeah.
I took mine off.
Yeah.
And I really like that a lot better because it kind of also lights the fire under myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to set those pending orders because there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of times I've missed a trade because I didn't set my pending orders. But now, since I don't have it on my phone, it just reiterates that sense of urgency. Like, when you
Yes.
see it, set it.
For sure. I noticed too, like when I had TradingView on my phone, if my phone is in my room, the first thing I do when my alarm clock goes off, it goes off every morning at 4:30 Monday through Friday. I reach over and I grab my phone. And the first app I'm looking at is TradingView, right? Like,
Yes.
oh, how did price move overnight? And I realized that that's actually really not the healthiest thing to do, because we're already addicted to our phones, and our phones are always attached to us when we wake up, and then from the time we go to bed. Sometimes it's so bad I take the phone in the shower with me. Right? And it's not always because I'm on the charts, it's because my mind is being stimulated by technology. But I don't have time. I don't have time to feel. I don't have time to think about the day or anything. I'm just automatically letting something entertain me. But now I realize it's gotten so bad that my son and daughter are like that, and I don't like that. So we have cut off times with phones now. I think for me, looking at my mental health, I know when I'm okay when I wake up singing, or I wake up dancing, or a smile on my face, right? I know I'm not okay when I feel anxiety, because I'm starting to think about tasks and lists and things that I have to do. That's when I know I'm not okay, because it's like, "Ugh, I don't want to go through this day doing these things. I don't like these things." Um, or if my feelings, women, we so emotional. I think I've learned to know that I'm not okay when I'm just not okay, if that makes sense. And I just know it. Like, no one can see it, but I can feel it. And it's not a feeling that I can easily get over. And I want to go into hiding. If I feel like I need to go into hiding, I know I'm not okay. But now let's add trading onto this, because that's what we're here for, right? Do you think trading can be peaceful?
For sure.
Okay.
I think I don't think off like straight off the rip, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to even figure out what peace looks like to you.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, like, even this whole year that I have been trading full time, I can now say I'm a peaceful trader.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dig deeper with that. I'm going to say yes and no to that, though, because there's not a glorified answer to this. I think it all depends. And I like how you said in the beginning, right? But now it's a
Yeah,
twist.
yeah.
But I do think we can find some peace in trading. So let's start with talking about ways that trading may not be peaceful. I actually have a few listed out, but I would like to hear your perspective first. In what ways do you think trading may not be peaceful?
When that's your only source of income, that's
Ooh.
not that's not necessarily super peaceful, because you're not in control of anything that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So that uncertainty, that's what brought me a lot of anxiety in the beginning. Like, um, yeah, it's not peaceful.
Hmm. I hope y'all heard what she said, though. She said when it's your only source of income. That's like an entrepreneur saying, I'm going to quit my job and just go head on and do, right? And I'll be honest, it's not smart. Um I've not been in that position to where, no, actually I have only once. When my husband lost his job back in 2019, the end of 2019, I believe. And that became our source of income for me trading. I'd not felt pressure to be the breadwinner before, ever, since we had been married. And when that happened, I was like, oh my God, this is not fun. You take this responsibility back. Lord, please let my husband get a really very good job. And he did, right? But it did take us changing the way we lived and changing our lifestyle as well, to get back on our feet and to get back on track. And thank God trading was right there. And honestly, when I realized, oh my God, wait a minute, but I'm actually paying bills, I'll be honest, it lit a fire under my butt. It showed me that I wasn't pushing as hard to get to the next level. I was only trading small and trading comfortable. But when those bills had to be paid and food need to be put on the table, I'm like, yo, I'm going all in. I wasn't risking everything, but I had to push past a certain limit. And so that did cause me to change my mind on how even I traded. I'll add to that part, though. The learning stage is tough. The
Oh yeah.
learning stage is tough. You have nothing figured out, right?
Yeah.
All you're doing is you're learning how to trade a system. But I think that's chaotic in itself, because it's like, okay, well, who do I listen to? What strategy do I trade? And how in the heck do I make it work for me? And I think a lot of traders get stuck in the learning phase too long. They feel like they have to learn everything. I need to learn this, I need to learn that. But then when you add it with time frames and your trading style and how long do you hold a trade for, and when do you actually come to the chart, and when is the best trading session? And I hate that question, by the way. But what's the best trading session? I think it keeps you handicapped because you have too many unanswered questions that too many people have opinions on, that they'll tell you don't do it this way, do it my way. But your way may not work for me. And I think in the learning stage, it's always been important for me to teach new people who are in the learning stage, don't overcomplicate it.
Mhm.
Because if you overcomplicate it, you're going to be frustrated. And we meet a lot of frustrated traders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think that it's all about exposure,
Mm-hmm.
especially in what we do. You can come to this market and perform in any way you want to,
Mm-hmm.
but it has the way that you win is by making it work for you.
Yes. But in the learning stage, people don't know what works for them, though, Sydney.
That's why I'm talking about exposure,
Oh,
like
yeah.
figuring out what area you want to, focus on,
Mm-hmm.
what you want to be.
But let's go deeper. But what happens when the person does figure out who they want to become? They're still in the learning stage because now they're like, okay, I'm here. I got this far, but what's next? I find that a lot of people in the learning stage don't know what's next. They don't know, like, okay, when I figured out I was a trading style, Sydney, it still took me a couple years to figure out I like the monthly, weekly, daily 12-hour because of this. I literally this year just stopped trading the 4 hour and then got put onto the 12-hour. You see what I'm saying? And that all happened by happenstance, right? Like it wasn't something that I was looking forward to doing. It just happened before I walked out the door to spend the day with my family, right? But it was a breath of fresh air. But I think a lot of times what doesn't bring people peace is the time factor. How long is this going to take me to reach my goals? How long is it going to take me to now start making $1,000 in a day, $1,000 in a week? I think we measure things by time and money amounts, certain amounts. Like it's a goal you have to reach, but some people may not end up hitting those goals till 5 years later, and it's gonna suck for them, right? Because there's something about pressure and time. And I think prop firms use that to their advantage. I'll be honest with you.
For sure.
If we could go deeper with that too, I think another reason why trading may not bring us peace is because of the drawdown that a lot of us suffer in trading. People don't know how to handle drawdown. And it's various types of drawdown. I'll talk about the two most popular ones real quick. The first drawdown is when you're in a trade and the trade is going against you and you are praying that the trade turns back around in your favor. And when we're in drawdown, what ends up happening? We have that phone so close to us. Oh, I'm just hoping it turns around, and you're watching the charts and you're stalking the charts. And you just feel like if you watch it, maybe it'll do what you want it to do, right? You been there before?
Oh, for sure. Especially we're talking about when I first started, like
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I felt like if I wasn't watching something like just off the wall was going to happen and I was going to be able to spot it before it happened, it's just it's like a paranoia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I used to be afraid of drawdown so bad, Sydney. One time, and I'll never forget this. 4:30 in the morning, yet again, I was living in Georgia. My husband was sleeping in a bed next to me. I wake up. I was on a 15-minute time frame at this time. So this is probably like 5.5 years back at this time. And I'm on a 15-minute time frame. I see a trade. It was on pound New Zealand at this time. And so I'm looking at it and it was for sale. But I was so afraid to go into a drawdown, Sydney. My stop loss at this time was probably about 10 pips. I was going to go in at like $5 a pip. My take profit on this trade was probably around 75 pips. But I did not enter that trade. And guess what ended up happening maybe an hour later? If I would have put in the trade and woke up an hour later, I would have taken profit on that trade. I can't tell
That's what
you.
always happens.
Right. I even remember a trade that happened on AUD USD. It was another sell. As a matter of fact, this time I'm on a 5 minute time frame. I was in my office. At this time, we lived in apartments back in Georgia again. Still telling like 5.5 years ago, right? Um, my husband is with our daughter. I'm on the phone with my friend David. I'm like, yo, I see this trade on AUD USD. My stop loss was 2 pips, literally 2 pips. My take profit was about 50 pips. I was going to enter the trade at 5 standard lots, right? But I didn't end up doing it. I was only going to lose $100, but I never entered the trade. News was coming out, push news straight down, would have never been in drawdown, never entered because I was afraid of losing the trade. And it's been times like that when I realized I was not because of being afraid, but I didn't have much to give at that time. Because if I lost that, Sydney, I lost everything in my mind, right? I don't like being poor, but back then I was poor, right? I didn't have money and the flexibility to move, and I was staggered. And so that's not peaceful at all when you're really going through something. Another type of drawdown that ends up happening as well is when you're in that losing streak, right? And so when you're in that losing streak and you're like, dang, hey Black Mozart, how are you? And you're like, dang, oh my God, like I've been I see my account is here, especially when you're trading prop firm accounts and your account is just going more towards the maximum drawdown or more towards the daily loss that you have on there. It's like you just don't see a way out of it, right? Sometimes you want to reset your account, sometimes you want to start over, sometimes you want to stop trading that account altogether until you really realize I don't have to, but it doesn't really bring you any peace at that moment in time, right? Yeah.
But I think that goes along with, if we're talking about drawdown, then we have to talk about stop losses.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think people have a fear of stop losses too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if their trade hits stop loss, then they're wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or that they're a bad trader. And I definitely think that stigma needs to like end, because if we're talking about drawdown and stop losses, stop losses in particular is there to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make peace with that and say, okay, if this trade hits my stop loss, then what? You kind of need to have a backup plan. Like, what does that mean to you?
Right.
But not necessarily obsessed over it.
Right. I think we just froze here on YouTube. I'm gonna hold on. Let me reset just in case. Okay, no, we're back on there. We had froze just a little bit. Yeah, but I do agree with you. I think there was a period of time, Sydney, when I was trading that I did not use stop losses. I had stopped using stop losses because what I would
That's risky.
yeah, and it was, but what I was doing was I was setting hedge trades. I was hedging at this time. But I'm going to be honest, it really worked out in my favor. And that period of time taught me something. It taught me I could expand past my mental limits. That's what it really taught me. Black Mozart says, "Oh, hey Miss Sydney, my name is Preston as well." Your last name. See, Black Mozart, you was meant to be here. But it taught me that I could push past my mental limits, right? Like skies was the limit back then because I stopped fearing. I think that's where I stopped fearing pullbacks, Sydney, and I realized pullbacks were needed. And if you could calculate the pullback, right? And this is where my price action trading really started to increase. My strength in that started to increase. I was like, wait, but if we see these certain things, we can measure this and, all those types of things, right? It just stopped being so complicated. So I do agree with you. Stop losses are not bad. They're for protection. One of my clients calls them wiggle room. He says, Shaquan, I need this for my wiggle room. Get your wiggle room out, honey. I love that. Right. So we can always turn something that's deemed as a negative into a positive, right? And that's one of the ways that we can do it. So yeah. Um, I think another thing too that doesn't help make trading peaceful though is background noise.
Mm-hmm.
That background noise. Family, friends. Um, we're both moms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we both have children. We're both wives. We have husbands. Sometimes they can get loud. There are times when I'm here working, my husband's playing his video game and he's loud, or he's watching sports and he's loud, or my children are in their room and they're loud. And I'm just like, oh my God, can y'all please be quiet? Because this is my work. And what I tell my husband is, I don't go to your job and make noise. I look at my children and I say, I don't go to y'all school and I don't make noise. But mommy works from home and she would like the same respect. And so if you see me on this computer, my children know if I'm on this computer, mommy is working. I'm not going to spend all day on this computer. I promise you I'm not. I just need an hour or two of silence. Let me get done what I'm getting done. And I promise you my time is going to be yours. Right? What about you?
Yeah, it's the same. I think also too having the background noise of other
Mm-hmm.
traders can sometimes be a
Mm-hmm.
hindrance because I'm grateful that I'm confident enough to make my own trading decisions and
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily need that validation from anybody. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
need anybody to be on board with me for me to take a trade. And I'm happy that I am the only trader
Yeah.
I know in terms of like my family and friends, because I
Mm-hmm.
just don't want to have those conversations like, oh, well, why did you do this? How did you do that? Like, no, I like to keep all that here.
I love you, Sydney. I'm so glad you said
Yeah, because when me and
that.
Shaquan talk, you guys, we're 95% of the time we're not talking about trading.
No.
I promise you.
No, I don't. You know, it's crazy. It's going to sound crazy to say this, but I don't care to talk about trading all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like when I get my, I tell Sydney this all the time. I wish I could go deeper in our community with different conversations. I
Mm-hmm.
really wish I could. It's so funny. But I agree with you with the background noise of other traders. Everybody has an opinion on what can happen. And sometimes other people's opinions will stall yours, and you'll see them as the expert and not yourself. They will scare you out of a trade, right? Or they'll, I don't like when people, okay, I was in this Facebook group helping out. This was maybe 2 years ago. I was so sad, Sydney, when I was in that group because I would see people ask questions. And some people knew I was a coach, some people did not know I was a coach. And this was a Facebook group with hundreds of thousands of people in there. So what I would do, I wasn't putting out my services or anything unless someone asked. But when someone asked a question, and I would wait to see the responses, they would sadden me. You should go look this up. You should go do this. You should know this by now. Are you dumb? Are you slow? Are you stupid? We all know this. How don't you know this? You can go and look in the files and do this and do that. All you got to do is research. But here's the thing, some people may not be researchers. Some people may not be good readers. Some people may not know how to develop their own thoughts yet. That goes back to what you and I talked about the first time, their learning stage. Some people are in a learning stage, but do you know how many people overwhelm other people?
Yeah.
It's like, hold on now. So what I would do was I would take that person question and it was like I would go back and write a whole dissertation for them. Like, listen, this is what you asked, this is what you do. A, B, C, and D. And here is why. Here is what you need. Here are some resources. There you go. You know what starts to happen? More people start to ask questions. Yo, go to Shaquan. Do this, do that. And it's all because background noise is rarely is it ever positive, because background noise means it's a distraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like the distractions of other people. I've been distractions myself with other people where I put my opinions off on them. Yeah, most of the time it's right, but sometimes I had to learn, you gotta lead people to the water. It's like a horse, you gotta lead them to the water. You can't make them drink it though. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And so I really do agree with you. But let's go deeper with what you just said because that was beautiful. I think trading isn't peaceful when all eyes are on you to be great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I think it just depends too. Like, how did those eyes get on you in the first place? Like, did you put yourself out there, or are
Mhm.
people just being nosy?
Well, okay.
or both?
Okay. It's twofold. How many people in your family know you trade?
Well, all of them.
Why? How did they come to find out that information?
Because I told them.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's how. That's how people know. You tell. You know why you tell? Because you're excited. You know why you're excited? Because it's new and it can make you money.
Yeah.
People always want to know about that. Look at God. Look at the Bible. The Bible is such a powerful resource. One of the most sold books ever in the world is the Bible. Why? Because people love hope. People need something to make them feel good. They want to know that there is something that they can look for after death, right? But then while they're here on this earth, they want some type of encouragement, some type of support, some type of community. And the Bible is based on that. And we live that out. Well, most people live that out or try to live it out in real life. Wars have even been started over a book, the Bible, right? But what happens when new Christians or people who are newly saved, what do? They become Bible thumpers, right? Oh, they start spreading the word of God. A lot of people do it incorrectly, but that's what they end up doing because they're so excited they found Jesus. He was never lost, but they say they found him, right? But that's what it is. So sometimes I don't think it's people being nosy. We made them a part of our journey.
Yeah.
That's what we did. I want you to think about this two ways though, because now we're gonna go into how can trading be peaceful, right? How can we make our money with a little bit more ease, with a little bit more peace? I think we should really start to talk about that. One of the things that I like to do, Sydney, is pray. I like to pray and I like to seek encouraging words, but I also like words of affirmation, right? You know, like the five love languages, words of affirmation. I want someone to make me feel good. It's pressure being a trader, Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
because we perform to make money,
Yeah.
you know. But there's also pressure on the coaching side to build a platform and a blueprint to help people make money.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the question you just asked, like, how did people know that you're a trader and are they being nosy? We're on YouTube right now. That's how people know. You've been in on that coaching side. You've seen the good. You've seen the bad, right? Um, but prayer can really help, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be affirmed that you're doing the right thing, and I think with words of affirmation, it helps put you back on the right path, right? So I think that's a way in which we can learn to be at peace with trading. You are great. You're awesome. You're a genius. You're smart. You're a money maker. Like you say, you speak words, you manifest, you speak positive words in your life all the time, right? I think that's a really good way to start. What do you think?
Well, yeah, because I mean, you can't leave it to the market to like give you a grade if you
Mm-hmm.
say, because especially, I think the ultimate goal for traders is to have like a repetitive system and
Mm-hmm.
trade that system. And sometimes the results you get from that system, you can't let those results reflect who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like the hardest separation, even that I had to make this year. That like I'm not what I do, I just do it, right? But I'm still whole um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
work in progress myself.
Yeah. I like what you just said though. I just do great. Like you better be like Nike and just do it. You
Right.
know?
You just have to, and then face the other battles that come, with just being a human being, right? But they're two
Yeah.
separate battles that you have to, focus on.
Yeah. I like what Mr. Anthony just said. Flow with people who are equally yoked. I would like to hit on that actually last. I have a point to that, Mr. Anthony. I want to keep on the spiritual side for right now too though. I believe God wants me to make money. I do. I believe that. The reason why I believe God wants me to make money, for one, is biblical, right? God talks about money. Well, I mean, it talks about money a lot in the Bible, but He put me in an environment to be able to do so. We both have supporting husbands who want us to be traders. They see what we go through. They're here for us. They support us. They encourage us, right? to do what we do. We have homes that we can do it in. We can dress up our homes. We can dress up our environment, right? We're speaking into our children. This is what we do. We're showing it. Like you said, we are being it. We are doing it, right? So I think God puts us in that position, and we're choosing to walk in that calling. We're choosing to walk in that position. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's this opportunity came to you because it could be for you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I don't necessarily believe in happenstances,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe that if you can see a future in this for you, and it's not necessarily all about the money, but
Mm-hmm.
being able to provide
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to that, then yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's for you. Yeah.
Matthew, the book of Matthew, I believe it's Matthew 25:14 through 29, talks about the king who gave his servants gold, right? Because this is how I know God wants us to make money. The first person who the king gave the gold to or the talent to was given 10 talents or 10 pieces of gold. Second person was given five. Last person was given one talent. What resonates with me is always, why did the king give them each what he gave them? Was it their abilities? Was it because he knew what they can do with it? Was he testing them? But the first one doubled his from 5 to 10. The second one doubled his from I'm sorry, from 10 to 20. The next one doubled his from 5 to 10. The last one went and hid his. But the moral of the story was, the person who went and hid the one talent got everything snatched away, Sydney. But the first two who doubled theirs, the king gave them more. He said, okay, because you doubled yours, here's 10 more. Because you doubled yours, here's five more. But isn't that what God does? God says, I'm going to give you these things. And if you're a good steward of what I give you, I will supply and give you more, because your needs are going to be met, right? And so when I think about it, God, if you gave me this skill, the ability to use my skill, I am going to use this skill. And if I use this skill properly, my needs will always be met. Even if it doesn't look right sometimes, even if I go in and out of seasons with it, my needs are going to be met. You see where I'm going?
Well, those first two servants, they took risks.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
they took risks and they had faith,
Yes.
which is why they were rewarded.
Yes. Come on now. Right? And so, isn't that what we're supposed to do with what is
Yes.
given? We're supposed to take those risks. I look at risk as opportunities. The word risk actually means to take a chance, right? You don't know if when you take that chance, something good is going to happen or something bad is going to happen. So to take a chance, it's a 50-50 probability that it could go your way or it may not go your way. But you
Yeah.
still take the chance to receive an outcome. You either learn from the failure or you do better with the win. That's it, right? There's no in between. And I never want to be the person who hides the talent, right?
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, that's for me. I know that's why I teach so much. I'm like, okay, God, if you gave me this, let me give this too, because this is not mine. There's a book, and I know you know this book, The Science of Getting Rich, right? And in the Science of Getting Rich, the gentleman says God has supplied everything you need. What you need to do is think a certain way.
Yeah.
And if you think a certain way and you do a specific thing, you will be rich. But don't think about competition. And that goes back to what you said earlier about background noise. I think sometimes traders trade with ego. I got to be the best. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to show you I'm better than you.
Mhm.
I don't believe in competition, because that means I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid you might beat me. But what I'm not doing is focusing on me. And so I'm going to take you out of my mind. I'm going to make myself the expert. Now I'm the professional. You can't tell me anything when I know what I'm doing. You can't.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe God wants us to make money, right?
Mhm.
Goes into one of my next points. This is so crazy how this is flowing, Sydney. I'm at peace because now I'm not in a learning stage anymore. I have a sound strategy that works.
Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
let's as you say, let's dive deeper into
Yeah.
that, because I think when you're telling people you're not in the learning stage,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also still very open-minded.
Yes.
You're also still able to hear, critiques,
Mm-hmm.
or able to see other viewpoints, and still being able to rely on yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Because I think, especially in what we do, the IML days, like I'm a student always, right? And
Yeah.
that really is truth to that. Like, you have to be able to see different perspectives. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
be stuck on one thing forever.
Right.
That's good.
Let's take something you said last year, and it made me change a part of my system because of you. Your stop losses. When I would use Fibonacci, I would always take my stop losses down or up 2 fib levels from where I entered. And I used to watch you after I trained you. Y'all, I want you to hear what I'm about to say, everybody. I trained Sydney. She has
Yeah.
my mind, okay? But I started to watch the way she did her stop losses. And quietly, I back tested. What is the probability of me using what Sydney is doing with her rule with mine? And I found that if I moved my stop loss the way she did hers, that I would win more trades than lose. And guess what I did? I adapted it and I gave her credit and said, y'all, Sydney does this. We're going to start doing this too because it works, right? And I believe we all stay open-minded because of those things. Y'all, I'm telling y'all now, I am no better than anybody. I don't care about my title. I don't care for titles. I'm telling y'all that now. But I'm still a trader first, okay? Because that's how I started. So when someone is doing something that works and you can tweak something, you can always learn from somebody, right? And, I think in our community, all of us stay open-minded. We may not trade everything that everybody else trades, but we all come from the same path, right? We were all using support and resistance before. We were all using trend lines before. Yeah, we were all doing something before this system that you guys trade now, right? But we still have to carry each other. And that goes into what Mr. Anthony said down here. He says, I thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that compliment. He says, and you bless so many with your talents. Thank you. You got to flow with people who are equally yoked. In our trading community, we trade one system, not many, right? Because I think, Sydney, that's what brings peace to. We're not everywhere. We're not trading everything. Do you know how hard it is for people to come to you and say, can you teach me this? Can you teach me that? Can you teach me that? That takes you further and further away from your path because they want you to be skilled in what they do, not what you do. They don't honor your gift. They want you to honor theirs. That's hard.
For sure.
Yeah. And so for me now, having this strategy, I don't have to figure it out anymore. Like you just said, we set pending orders. That's another thing that has helped us trade a bit more peacefully. We don't have trading schedules unless it's to analyze or back test. I've helped eliminate that.
Yeah.
I kept hearing people say, I don't know when to show up. I don't know when is the best time to be at my chart. I'm working, or when this candlestick closes, I'm not home, or I'm asleep because I'm in a different time zone. And it's like, okay, well, how do we eliminate that? Let me just teach pending orders. Because if I teach you a pending order, all you have is analysis time. And analysis should never take you more than an hour, depending on how many trading pairs you have or currency pairs you have. And if you have less than 5, you should only analyze 15 minutes once a week until something happens in the market, right? So I think that's another thing that's brought us peace. How about you, since you started using pending orders?
Oh yeah, it just takes the hesitation out of it. Like, there is no hesitation. I'm either in the trade or I'm not. There's no in between. And something else I wanted to add, because I've been listening to audiobooks a lot more this year. I like to listen to them while I'm working out, and I just finished one that was how to build self discipline, and I thought it goes along with what we're talking about today. So if we're talking about how to be a peaceful trader, we're talking about decisions, and the author brought up decision fatigue versus decision avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So decision fatigue is, as the name says, like the more decisions you make, the lower the quality of those decisions tend to be, right?
Yes.
So he recommended making your most important decisions first thing in the morning
Mm-hmm.
or after the break.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, it's really hard, but I try not to look at my charts first thing in the morning because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any decisions I need to make. So why am I looking at them anyway?
Yes. So
Yeah.
crazy. That's
I've been trying to set my pending orders when I analyze.
yes. That's so crazy you saying that. So I was teaching someone our last session yesterday, Shay, and she asked me about time, and I was like, yeah, when you get into the group, I'm gonna teach you pending orders. Don't worry about the time, right? But I like what you said too with the decision making factor. I think a lot of people get stuck because they're trying to make too many decisions. When I created TMP, I created it with the on the with the emphasis on make one decision, and that's just to enter the trade. There should be no and or.
Yeah.
Only what you're going to do. Um, we only worry about the or when price reverses. That's it,
Yeah.
right? Because I kept getting stuck, and this is why I don't trade support and resistance anymore. Because I keep getting asked about why I don't trade support and resistance or trend lines. I get asked that question a lot by a lot of people because that's what people know when they come into the market. Because that's the most popular strategy taught. I
Yeah.
mean, for decades, that strategy has been taught. And then even with supply and demand, that technique has been taught, but everybody trades these two things differently. When I realized time price got to resistance or support, Sydney, I will always say this. If price, let's just say resistance, gets to resistance, I will sell if it rejects. Or if it breaks it, I will buy. Do you know how many times I've lost money saying that?
Yeah, because that's a lot. Like you're
Yeah.
saying in one statement that you have two decisions to make.
Right. But what happens when you fear both? What happens if I get
Yeah.
into, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What happens when I get into the trade? I still got ore on my mind. And so now I'm going to set a tight stop loss. Now I'm going to stop the trade like a hawk because I'm in fear that the ore is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Cindy, when I realized I wasn't the only one with that problem. And I'm
Yeah.
still not the only one with that problem. And so when I realized that, I said, okay, God, people are coming to me with this problem. I have it too. What can I do to change this problem? And God was like, just only think about the entry and nothing else. Have one take profit. Put one, like start making rules for stop losses, right? The same rule every time. And I think the problem with why we trade in chaos is because our minds are on overload. I think it was Sunday or last week. You caught that my mind was everywhere, right? You
Mm.
said it out loud. And I honestly think because we trade that way too. We got more than one thing on your mind. You skip steps, even in your own system. And I wanted to create a system that said you only have just get 3 yeses. The number 3 is so beautiful. Just get 3 yeses. And if you can get these 3 yeses, you have to enter, and that's it. You get one no, you do nothing. So it's a checklist of things. But I realized no matter what variable changed, the variables that change in trading are time frames and currency pairs. But what do we do, Sydney? We keep the rules the same. The take profit stays the same. The
Yeah.
stop loss stays the same. If we use a Fibonacci, that we only have one level to focus on, and that's a negative 27. We eliminated decisions.
Yeah, and that's what I've been like back testing. Also, I don't back test off manual orders anymore. Whenever
Mm-mm.
I'm back testing, I'm back testing as if I'm setting pending orders, just because
Yes.
I'm trying to get my mind into that being the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really is so beneficial. Like we're talking about decisions, so I brought up decision fatigue, but you also have decision avoidance.
Yeah.
So people, you get so stressed out that you don't even want to decide. You just put it off.
Yes.
So you see a candle, you're like, okay, should I enter? And because of that fear, because of the anxiety, you don't enter, which translates to decision avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
And then that trade usually goes in your favor, and you're beating yourself up because you were there, you
Mm-hmm.
saw it, and you made the decision not to act.
You eliminated the worst part of you from trading,
Yeah.
your mind, right? I think that's what pending orders help us do. I think another layer to this that kind of helps us trade better are correlations. When we trade correlated currency pairs together instead of having random pairs in the section. Earlier, the early part of this year and last year, remember how it was? We were all started to group our currency pairs in sections, right? Pounds, AUDs, yens, all that, right?
Yeah.
We started to add decisions to our charts.
Yeah.
Okay. So funny we're talking about this. Y'all, this is about being transparent as traders. What works and what doesn't work, right? We weren't adding peace, we were adding chaos.
Yeah.
And now we're slowly breaking down the barrier of chaos. But I don't think that was a bad thing to do. I think we needed to do that.
Well, if you think about it, we faced a lot of fears this year.
We
A lot of
did.
trading fears. Like
We did.
that's what when because I write a letter to myself at the end of every year, just so like I can come and revisit. So I am going to make that a point to tell myself, like, I learned how to face my fears this year, like in trading, but also in life. Because what is fear, right? False evidence appearing real. So it's like what you just said, breaking down what the information that is presenting to you and rationalizing it for yourself.
That's the part there. I think when we rationalized it, Sydney, we found what works for us. That's what we did. I don't like telling people what to trade. Oh, you have to trade this pair. You have to trade that. My piece is not your piece. What I like, you may not like. You have to figure that part out yourself. There are so many currency pairs and indices and cryptos to choose from. How do you tell someone to just trade one, right? I don't like Litecoin. I don't like trading Litecoin. I don't like trading Bitcoin. I prefer Ethereum. But I would not know that if I don't try those other ones out to see what I don't like. You see what I mean? I hate Pound CAD. I don't like Pound Swiss. I like Pound JPY, but I don't trade it anymore. I don't trade the currency pair I like.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't give me the opportunities that I want and desire. But Euro JPY does, and Euro JPY isn't even my favorite pair. But she gives me more opportunities than Pound JPY. In order for us to make money, we need opportunities.
So can I ask you this? How many pairs were you trading at the beginning of this year?
Oh, Jesus, that's a hard girl. Maybe over 20, maybe 30, maybe 30.
So, and how many pairs do you trade now?
4.
Compared to at the beginning of this year, do you feel like even in cutting down your pairs, you're more peaceful?
Yes. Yes, because I only have 4 currency pairs to focus on. Let's talk about the trades we're in now. Right now, I'm only in 2 positions. I'm in Euro JPY and New Zealand dollar. Euro JPY is almost to my take profit, right? I just took a profit on her that was over 700 pips. I have another trade running that if she hits, that's 944 pips on that trade. But both are going to expose me to over 1,600 pips in less than a month and a half, right? Do you know how amazing that is?
Yeah.
And I want everyone to hear us on this. That's an amazing return, right? 1,600 pips on one pair. That's not an indice. That's crazy. But I'm focused on it. I'm not overwhelmed on the trade. New Zealand dollar, I'm in drawdown right now, but I'm only risking 1%. Sydney, imagine if I risk 1% on half of those 30 pairs that I was just trading. They're all going to have me emotional. This one's going to have me high because I'm in profit. This is going to have me low because I'm in drawdown. This one's going to have me sitting horribly because I lost. My emotions will be everywhere.
And we haven't even talked about like over leveraging.
Oh, right. Exactly. And so that's brought me peace. It's coming down in time frames because now I can risk more on those currency pairs. Now I don't feel over leveraged. Now I'm not over trading. Slowly we took out the chaos, but we had to be in a chaotic situation in order to understand, okay, how do we eliminate that so we don't go back to it? I know for you it was scary, right? You want to talk about your experience with that too?
Yeah, so even for just talking about this year, I started the year off passing my FTMO challenge. My
Mm-hmm.
mind's going like while I was doing the challenge was take every opportunity presented to me. Mind you, I had how many pairs? Like I was like 10, 12 pairs.
Mm-hmm.
So that got me to pass my challenge. I was, doing great for a little while, still with that same mentality, take every opportunity presented, and then it backfired on me, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've been, just reading, and Van Tharp, for those of you who aren't familiar with him, he's a trading psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
right? He said essentially what happened to me. He said if you trade so many pairs, you might hit the jackpot a couple times, but after a while, you're going to end up bankrupt. Like it just the
Yep.
math doesn't add up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened to me. So, I wasn't able for months to make withdrawals on my FTMO account.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came a point in time where I was like 1.5% away from hitting my max drawdown. And like, I'm telling you, when that's your only source of income and you're at risk of that being taken away from you,
Yeah.
that's a really scary place to be. Like, it got really dark. I got really anxious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know up from down. And so which I should have done a long time ago, right? But because I was in this coaching mentality, my focus wasn't on myself,
No.
unfortunately. So I did reach out to Shaquan and told her, this is what's going on. What can we do? And so
Mm-hmm.
she helped me face that fear. We made a game plan. She told me all the scenarios of what could happen, and all I could do from there was execute.
That's it. Yep.
If my trade would hit stop loss, the first trade I would have took after that, I essentially could have still lost my account, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I had that faith, and I had to um, strip all the fear away from it and say, the only thing I can do right now is just do.
That's
I
it.
can't feel right now. I can't even really think right now. I need to
Mm-hmm.
just do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost at break even, and mind you, I've been a drawdown since March,
Yeah. No, it's later than that.
May.
Yeah. Yeah. Way later than that. Because you've already had two big profit splits. And
Yeah,
then that's when you went into the drawdown over the summer. Now, what I want you to do from here, now here comes a coaching moment. I want everyone to hear how I'm about to coach Sydney really quick. You need to take note of the fact that you had your best trading months January through May, and you had your worst trading months during the summer, because now you got to go and compare your 2023 results against 2022.
yeah,
You had your best trading months August from now. The reason why you're doing this, now I want everyone to hear us well, while we talked about drawdown not being a peaceful situation. Because Sydney, if you go into a drawdown again those same months, those are your bad trading months and it's been recorded. So you'll have to have a different game plan when you go into it 2024.
yeah,
You see where I'm going? Remember, and I hope that Mr. Anthony's on here. It's even documented on YouTube where I talk about my bad trading months. In 2021, 2020, 2019, my worst trading months were February, some of the summer, and September and October. But this year it changed. My best trading months have been September, October. The data changed for me. You see where I'm going? Everyone needs to start keeping a track record of their drawdown periods, because everyone goes through those cycles. Okay. Nell says, Shaquan, what's up, girl? Long time. Hey, Nell, how you doing? How? Oh my God, it has been a long time. Uh, and I think someone on Carlos says, hey, and then someone said, let's go. Love this content. Keep it up. Thank you, Trusted Signals. I really appreciate it. But I would like to go into something that you just talked about, and this smooths in so well. You know why I'm at peace, Sydney? I know my numbers.
yeah.
You know your numbers. I want everyone to hear us well on this last part. Because if you got more, we can keep going. It's my last part, okay?
I just have one more, and then we
Okay.
can wrap it.
Beautiful. Um, we know how many trades we need every month to reach our desired goals. I created a resource in a blueprint, and this was what, so when Sydney came to me, and now it's funny because I love creating in front of Sydney, right? Like Sydney has seen me just create things out of thin air, like resources for people. Um, but when people go into prop firm trading, or they're trading with their own money, I think they just do and go, right? So funny how
It's like kamikaze. Like they
yeah,
just have to do the most.
it is. But um a prop firm will just say, yeah, you need 10%, you need 5%, or like FTP, we do FTP, so you need 10%. But then you go through these drawdown rules, right? But people just trade without the understanding of how many trades they need to hit a profit and how many trades they need to reach that drawdown, the daily and the max drawdown, right? My job now, and Sydney coined me as a performance coach months ago, and I didn't really take anything into mind until recently, but that's what I do. I track people's performance. And so what I did was I said, okay, let's do this backwards. Tell me how much you want to make. I'm going to tell you how many trades a month, winning trades you need to reach this target, how many trades you cannot lose, and then how much it would take if you do lose one trade to make that money back to put you back on the right path. You know, we figured out most people need less than 10 trades a month to reach 10% a month. That's it. Most people need that, depending on your risk to rewards.
Yeah.
Y'all, this has made it so much easier for us to track. I've also created journals for my clients that when they come into the group, okay, this is the journal. Mr. Hayden keeps a really great track record. Have you seen Mr. Hayden's track journal, the one I created?
Not since we got on that call with him.
He keeps a track of every trade he takes. And it's so beautiful. He puts a picture of every trade, because the journal I created, you guys, has risk to reward calculator in there. All they gotta do is just input the numbers. Everything, I always do the formulas because I want everybody to keep track of it, right? And so when Sydney came to me, when most of my people come to me because my clients have one-on-ones with me, it's like, no, like, you don't have to struggle by yourself. And because, Sydney, I think we know our numbers now, trading is a lot easier. That's why I'm at peace more. I'm not trading every day. All right, I've taken 3 trades this month. All right, let me see how they're going to pan out, because I can only take a max of 5 trades a month. That's all running anyway. So if I have 5 trades running, I'm not looking for any more than that. If they're at 1 to 2 risk to reward, I'm going to hit my goal in 5 trades. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Knowing your numbers helps. They help.
Yeah.
Hey Deontay, you went back to day trading? Nothing ever wrong with that, sweetie. Thank you, Nell. I really appreciate it. Hey, Mr. Hayden's on here too. He's on here too. Nell says, I would say here publicly, Shaquan speaks the truth. Have your journal by your side when trading, both the systematic trader or journal trader, but also performance journal on how you feel on and off the charts. And he says, you're right on that track, Sydney. Even on your off or bad days, keep going and just show up. Let the numbers do the talking over time, not a day, week, but months. Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna let you go on your last point before I continue, baby.
Oh, when we're talking about goals, I think it's also important to talk about your why.
Yep.
I think that is what has helped me stay sane.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of like your like buoy, if you will. Like I go to it when I need it. When I feel like I'm, getting off track, I go back to my why. Like this is why I'm doing this in the first place. And that's something else that that book that I was talking about, How to Build Self-Discipline, brought up too. Like the reason why you tend to like not accomplish things you want to is because you're kind of not in you're becoming distant from like reality, from that why. Yeah. Right? So knowing what your why is, knowing what your goals are, we're talking about the numbers. There's no emotions in numbers, right? So that's something that you're able to come to and take that emotion out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll if I could go a little bit deeper with that, the why helps me walk away from my charts easier.
Yes.
Yeah. When I put in a trade, now my why is because I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 with the 8-hour schedule, because I wanted to control my own schedule, because I wanted more freedom, because I get to see my children when they wake up, and then I get to take them to school. And if they need me through the day, I'm here for them, because I want to give my husband the option to retire, even though I know he'll never retire. We just talked about it this morning. But I get to be a better partner because he supports me in my needs. You see where I'm going? That is why it's easier to walk away from the charts when a trade is running versus going back, because I mean, it's nothing wrong with checking in on your trades every now and again. But if we talk about peace, the meaning of peace is to be still, right? Even biblically, God says, peace be still. Why? Because in the moment he said that, they were on a boat of chaos and people were afraid and Jesus is asleep. And he's like, what is it? What do you want? Peace be still. Because y'all just doing too much, right? I don't want to make trading something where I'm like, I'm just doing too much.
Yeah. We did a lot this year.
We did a lot this year, but now I think we're easing into easy street.
For sure.
And I love the fact that we're all on that same journey.
Yeah.
That's why community is so important. Because when you're in a community of traders who flow together, and we're not even a big community, and I'm going to be grateful for that. I'm going to be honest. Because remember last year, I stopped taking on people.
Yeah.
So I'm not adding any more people. I'm going to nurture and grow these people.
Mm-hmm.
Because nurturing takes time. And time is something that's so precious. And if you and I think we filled our time with the chaos to be able to say, now we get to make our money with the sound mind. Now we get to do this. And I'm so proud of us.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's another, something else I came to terms with this year was it's easy to trade, but it's hard to be patient. It's hard to be
Yes.
still.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be hopeful sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where you get to flex that muscle, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
becomes muscle memory,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets easier.
It does. It does. So y'all, we could have got on charts and showed y'all, oh, we make money this way and we do this and we do that. Sometimes you just need a conversation, you know. I know a lot of people think if they just stay on their charts, they'll make money. You don't. Not if you stay on it, right? I don't know if y'all noticed, but doctors, before they go into surgery, they study their surgeries. They have to go and study what they're going to do because every surgery is not the same. Some may be routine, but you know who's not routine? The people, the patient. The patient changes. And so they have to, the way they do the routine, it has to match the person, right? And sometimes on the spot, the surgery has to change the way you did do it, the performance. One tool can change, anything can change, but even they still research and study too. We are no different. We're no different. But when you have the tools you need, when you have the blueprint, when you have a person like Sydney backtests with everybody in our group. People go to Sydney to backtest. I come on Wednesdays to backtest, but when it's not Wednesday, guess who they go to? It's not me, it's her. I'm 100% okay with that, right? When people need sessions with me for numbers, they come to me. I'm just a numbers girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% okay with that. And so when you have a community of people who are here to help, y'all take advantage of that community. Stay engaged and always ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. Okay? But this is how we make trading peaceful. It took time. It wasn't overnight.
It still takes time.
Still takes time. We still waiting.
It'll always take time, but it gets easier, with the days go on. Like I said, that muscle memory, being able to fall back on peace.
Yes. I'm still waiting for my EJ trade to take profit.
Right.
I want my money. But that's how it goes, though. That's what it is. I think the hardest part, too, though, is just waiting for those trades to set up. But that's a different story for another day because I think people need to backtest patience. Who? Yeah. That's a class. That's a class. You gotta backtest patience. If you don't backtest patience, you're on a road to hurt. So I'm gonna just say that. But you guys, we're gonna go. We've been on here for what, an hour? A really good hour and 5 minutes. But I know I got stuff to do. Sitting, I know you got stuff to do with baby Jameer and your husband. So I don't want to take you away from them. Listen, y'all, enjoy your weekend. Please enjoy your weekend. Tomorrow's Friday, so that's our weekend, right? We don't trade on Fridays. And I took that trade last week, so out of character on a Friday.
I didn't follow my trading rules.
I did it, but I'm so glad I moved that trade to break even. That's the crazy part. But I know I didn't. I know that again. This is a pending order. I ain't got no qualms over that one. But if y'all have a question or anything, you can always get in contact with me. The information is down below. Really pray you guys enjoy your weekend. Cindy and I are gonna try to be back the week after next, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the week after next. Okay. So we love you guys. Pray you guys do amazing this week and next week. We'll talk to you guys.